about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to Juvenile Bureau. A potential killer roams the halls of one of the high schools in your city. Girl students have been brutally slashed by the criminal. Your job, stop him.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke extra mild Fatima. Yes, Fatima is the king-size cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild, to give Fatima a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, November 4th. It was windy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Georgia Street Juvenile Bureau. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Bowling, Commander Juvenile Division. My name's Friday. It was 2:45 p.m. when we got to Charter High School. Main entrance.
Which way, Joe?
I don't know. We can ask this boy. Hey, son,
Yeah?
where's the principal's office?
Straight down the hall. Last door on the left.
Thank you.
What's all the noise about?
Football rally. We're playing Piedmont today. Probably lose.
Can't beat confidence like that. Kids are sure funny nowadays.
Yeah. Check that sign.
Mm-hmm. Junior prom. $1.25 per couple.
Makes you feel old, doesn't it?
I never did go to those high school dances.
How come?
Yes, sir?
Like to see Mr. Chase?
Could I have your names, please?
Romero and Friday.
Oh, yes, he's expecting you. You can go right in. That door, then.
Thank you, miss.
Mr. Chase?
Yes?
My name's Friday. I talked to you on the phone.
Oh, yes, certainly, Sergeant. Have a chair.
Thank you. This is my partner, Ben Romero.
How do you do, sir?
How are you, Miss Chase?
Sit down. Certainly glad to see you, gentlemen. I'm at the end of my rope.
Would you mind briefing us, Mr. Chase? How did all this trouble start?
I don't know how it started. I don't know why. But here's the result, Sergeant. This dress, bloodstains on it.
Mm-hmm. What's the story?
A woman stormed in here and said her daughter came home from school yesterday wearing this dress. As she told her mother she'd been knifed here at the school.
Mm-hmm. How many cases like this have you had?
21 in the past 3 weeks.
Why didn't you notify us?
Believe me, Sergeant, I didn't know which way to turn. When I first learned about these knifings, I wanted to call in the police, but some of the girls who'd been cut, the parents didn't want it reported. The publicity, the notoriety, they didn't want it.
Hope you realize, Mr. Chase, that it's a pretty serious business.
Believe me, I did realize. What could I do? The knifings had to be stopped. The parents didn't want them reported. I've tried everything humanly possible to find out who's responsible.
What have you tried, Mr. Chase?
Well, I called on some of the older students from the Boys' Council. I placed them all over the grounds of the buildings and told them to keep an eye out.
No results, huh?
The knifings have gone right on. This past week, they've even gotten worse. Oh, that reminds me. Just a moment, please.
Yes, Mr. Chase?
Doris, would you get Jim Travers, please? Have him come to my office right away.
Yes, Mr. Chase.
Travers is head of the Boys' Council. He helped organize the system of guards. He might be able to give you some information.
You said a minute ago that the situation has been worse this past week. You mean the knifings have gotten more frequent?
More frequent and more serious. One girl was cut very badly this morning. She had to be sent home.
Are most of these girls cut in pretty much the same manner?
The school nurse treated some of them. She says it looked to her as though the girls had been slashed with a very sharp knife, probably a razor.
Is there any definite time pattern to these knifings?
All of them happen between periods when the students change classes. The corridors are pretty well crowded, and That's why it's so difficult to pin it down to any one person.
I see. How about the victims themselves, Mr. Chase? Is there any set pattern there?
That's what has me frightened.
How do you mean?
Most of the victims are rather pretty girls. Whoever's doing this seems to have a preference for them. It's frightening when you think of what kind of mind the person must have.
It's a little more than frightening, Mr. Chase.
Huh?
A person with a knife must be a mental case, probably a dangerous one. I don't think he's going to be satisfied with just knifing the girls.
Killing?
Possible if we let it go much longer.
You wanted to see me, Mr. Chase?
Come in, Jim.
I would have come sooner. I was tied up with the rally committee.
Jim, this is Sergeant Friday and Sergeant Romero, police officers.
Oh,
All right, Jim.
They're here to investigate the knifings. I thought maybe you'd be able to help out with some information.
Well, I still have the fellows on the council watching the corridors. We haven't seen anything yet.
Well, you have any time after the rally, Jim? We'd like to have you show us around.
Okay, Sergeant.
Is the school nurse still in her office? I'd like to talk to her, too.
I think so. Jim, when does Miss Wesley go home?
3:30 on Thursday, Mr. Chase. I'll tell her to stay on a few minutes.
That's fine. We'll meet you outside the office here, huh?
Okay, I'll see you later then.
Right.
Is school out for the day?
Yes, it is.
Guess we'll have to wait till morning to interview the victims.
The first class is at 8 o'clock. I'll have the girls assemble in the classroom next to my office.
All right, Mr. Chase. Thank you.
I'll be right back, Doris.
Yes, Mr.
See you gentlemen out.
Looks like the rally's just breaking up, huh?
3 o'clock now. The game's at 3:30.
She'll certainly jam up the corridor.
Come on, come on.
Let us through here. Let us through, please. All right. The rest of you go about your business. Go on now.
What's the matter, young lady? What's the trouble?
Patty Larson, she's fainted.
What's the matter with her?
Look at her dress. It's covered with blood.
An ambulance was called, and the injured girl was taken to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, where she was treated for a cut on her right forearm and a deep slash across her hips. She was not in serious condition. It was the doctor's opinion that the wounds had been inflicted either by a very sharp knife or more probably a razor. A detail of plainclothesmen were dispatched to Charter High School to keep the grounds and quarters under strict surveillance until further notice. At 7:30 the next morning, policewoman Lorraine Jensen, Ben and I met at the high school with Principal Chase and Jim Travers, the head of the boys' council. By 9 a.m., all of the 21 knifing victims were assembled in one of the empty classrooms. Policewoman Jensen outlined our plan of questioning.
May I have your attention, please? This isn't going to take very long, girls, but I will have to ask you to cooperate with us. Try to remember every detail of the time and the place that the knifings occurred. Do you all have a report form to write on?
Yeah, they're all set.
We'd like to have you write 3 things. First, exactly where you were when you were injured. After that, write the date and the time. Make that just as close as you can remember.
I don't remember. Do you not know what to write?
At the bottom of the page, write the name of the person you suspect might have cut you. Your answer will be kept confidential. Please don't compare notes with the girl next to you. We want your version, not your neighbor's.
Sergeant.
Yeah, Travis?
5-minute warning bell.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah, Joe.
There's a recess coming up. We want to check the quarters. Can you make out alone for a little while?
Sure, you two go ahead. You can check the slips when you get back.
Right. Let's go, Ben.
Yeah.
Top of the stairs is best, Sergeant.
Okay.
If you stand back a little from the railing, no one down below can tell if they're being watched either.
Okay.
I'm pretty much interested in police work. You know, the lie detector and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Will you keep on going here?
One more flight.
All right.
I wrote a paper once on the lie detector for our physiology class. The teacher liked it.
That's so.
Yeah. I've been reading how they take fingerprints, cross imprints, and all that. Pretty interesting. Here we are. We can keep an eye on the whole corridor from here.
Okay.
What detail do you officers work out of?
Georgia Street Juvenile.
You know Lee Jones or Ray Pinker?
Oh, yeah.
I've read a lot about the crime lab.
Why don't you come downtown some afternoon? We'll show you around.
That'd be swell.
Okay.
Must be interesting, meeting all kinds of people, watching how they behave, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting. During a recess, while the students moved from classroom to classroom, we kept the main corridor under close surveillance. The other men from Juvenile Bureau covered the rest of the corridors. We kept an eye on the main corridor during the third recess between periods at 11 a.m. Again, no results. At 11:30, Travers went to check with the members of the Boys' Council to set up the noontime watch. Ben and I went back to the classroom on the main floor to check with policewoman Jensen. We helped her tally the results of the questioning of the girl victims that morning.
Let's see, 17, 18, 19. Well, that takes care of the lot.
Let's see.
There it is. Now what's it mean?
Well, 12 say they were knifed on the main corridor, 3 knifed outside the building, 4 on the stairway, 2 in a classroom.
The times they list. Doesn't look like there's any pattern there.
How about the suspects that they wrote down?
That's even got me beat. We've got more of them than we have victims. Here. There's 4 pages of names. Some of the girls wrote down as many as 5 suspects.
That's going to help a lot.
How many altogether?
Let's see. 34.
Oh, hi, Mr. J.
Did you find out anything?
Oh, it didn't turn out too well. Nothing definite.
Terrible morning. Parents calling up newspapers. I don't know. Certainly out of my hands.
Are there any assemblies scheduled for this afternoon?
Yes, after the 5th period. Why?
Well, I think maybe you better cancel it. Seems like every time the kids are crowded together, we just ask for trouble.
All right, I'll have it canceled.
Fine. Something else, Mr. Chase.
Yes?
The girls that we had in this room this morning, the victims, we'd like to have every one of them brought back here after the next class, can we?
All right, Sergeant. I'll have excuse slips sent to each one.
Thank you, sir.
Gives her the chills. Those kids getting cut up in broad daylight.
Whoever it is, the guy's got a stomach for it.
How do you know it's a guy?
It's as good a guess as any. How about the school employees, the janitors, and the rest of them?
Checked them all out this morning.
When we get the girls back here, we'll go through the same routine. One thing we missed the last time we talked to them.
Yeah?
We asked them to pick suspects. We might have more luck if we have a bigger choice.
Well, how do you mean?
Well, instead of asking them to pick out somebody, we'll tell them to list the names of every person who was around them or near them when they were cut.
It might work if we can spot a couple of repeats on the list.
Sergeant, they want you downstairs. Hurry.
Come on, Ben.
What's the matter?
It's terrible, terrible. I found her.
You found who?
Betty Price.
Where?
Downstairs, unconscious. I'm afraid.
What do you mean you're afraid?
I'm not sure she's alive.
We located the unconscious girl in a corner of the basement near the rear entrance to the girls' locker room. She'd been cut severely about the face and arms. At Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, she was given an immediate blood transfusion. In addition to her wounds, she was also treated for shock. We questioned the victim. She stated that she did not see the person who attacked her. Later that afternoon, she was removed to her own home upon the advice of her family physician. 1:35 p.m. Ben and I got back to the high school and checked in with policewoman Lorraine Jensen.
How'd the last session turn out, Lorraine?
Well, a lot better. It was a good idea, Joe.
Yeah? How'd we come out?
Pretty good. There's the list they made out. 21 of them.
Uh-huh.
Each girl listed an average of 8 persons around her at the time she was knifed.
Yeah?
There's one name that occurs on 19 of these 21 lists. Here, Joe.
Jim Travers.
You are listening to Dragnet, the case history of a police investigation, presented in the public interest by Fatima Cigarettes.
If you smoke a long cigarette, it will be in your interest to listen to a typical case history of a Fatima smoker.
It's the case of Mr. Frank Fenton, well-known author and Hollywood screenwriter. This is his actual signed statement.
When a writer gets absorbed in his work, he loses track of time, smokes more than usual. And this happens often to me. As a result, I appreciate a mild cigarette. Fatima is extra mild. I agree it's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
And so do more and more smokers every day. Actual figures show extra mild Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself.
The king-size cigarette, which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make it extra mild.
You will prefer Fatima's much different, much better flavor.
You will agree.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
The best of all long cigarettes.
Friday, November 5th, 1:45 p.m. Ben and I started checking on Jim Travers. In the registrar's files, he was listed as James Kirkland Travers, 17 years old. He was a well-known, popular student. He was a fine athlete. He was from a well-to-do family. His father was the head of an engineering firm. His mother was from one of the oldest families in the city. During his 3.5 years at Charter High, Jim Travers had maintained close to an A average in his studies. He'd been president of his class since freshman year, and he'd held numerous other class offices. We interviewed his teachers. They had nothing but praise for Travers. They tabbed him as a brilliant young man with an excellent future. We asked about Travers' friends, who he palled around with. We picked up a small lead. We were told that he had very few, if any, close personal friends among the students, but he did have one girl at the high school he was especially fond of. Her name was Barbara Ferris, a tall, dark-haired girl, exceptionally pretty. Her scholastic record was almost as high as Travers. 2 p.m. Policewoman Lorraine Jensen and I interviewed the girl in the small room off the principal's office.
We're not singling you out, Barbara. We're interviewing most of the girls in the upper classes.
You mean about what's been happening around school?
Yes, that's right.
Well, I don't know much about it. I was talking to Jim Travers last night. He's a friend of mine. He told me why you were here.
How long have you known Jim Travers, Barbara?
Oh, since freshman year, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Did you go steady with him?
Well, we don't like to call it that, but I guess so. We go to the dances together. Sometimes we go to the show on weekends.
Do you go out with him very often?
No, not very often. Jim's usually pretty busy. He studies a lot.
Does he go out with other girls, do you know?
Well, no, I don't. Once he went out with Betty Fisher. He said he didn't like her much. Betty's kind of a party girl. Jim likes to talk about things. You know, physiology, books, stuff like that.
Do you get along with him pretty well?
We get along fine. Sometimes he's moody, but I guess I am, too.
Could you tell us a little more about Jim? What's he like?
Well, what do you want to know that for? Is there anything wrong?
No, it's just routine questioning, Barbara. We have to check on everybody.
Oh, I see. Well, Jim's certainly all right. He's like the rest of the fellows at school, I guess. Only he's smarter than most of them.
Well, is there anything maybe that's odd about him that you noticed? Anything very different?
No, not that I've noticed. He's always been pretty bashful, up until this last year anyway. He's still that way sometimes when we go out on dates.
How do you mean? How is he bashful?
You know, about girls and things. He's always nice, though. He's not always thinking about necking and stuff like most of them.
You mean he's not the romantic type?
Well, he can be romantic when he wants to. Once we parked outside my house after a dance. He's always nice. It was just this one time.
What was that?
Well, he kissed me, and then he twisted my arm behind my back. He kept twisting it for no reason.
Yeah?
I told him it hurt me, but he wouldn't let go. He kept twisting my arm.
What did he say?
That's what was so funny. He said, "I like you better than any girl I know."
Yeah?
Then he said, "That's why I'm hurting you."
After talking with Barbara Ferris, we had a pretty good idea that Jim Travers was the suspect we wanted. But because of his fine background and his record, we realized that we'd have to prove beyond any question of a doubt that he was the guilty person. We had only one thing to go on besides the information Barbara Ferris had given us. During the morning recesses, when Travers was with Ben and I was watching the corridors, not one knifing took place. When we had left Travers and gone downstairs to check with policewoman Jensen, the girl had been found slugged and cut at the rear of the girls' locker room. 2:30 p.m., Ben and I met with the suspect.
How's it going, Sergeant? Any luck?
Not much, Jim. What's that, another rally?
No, a band practice.
Junior prom's tonight, isn't it?
Yeah. You talked to the girl who was knifed downstairs, huh? Find out anything?
No, not much. You want to stick with us this afternoon? I think you might be able to help us out.
Sure. I've got the fellows on the council standing by if you want them.
Fine. Let's go outside, huh? Got something to tell you.
Sure, okay. We can go out this way. I certainly appreciate your letting me tag along. Hope I can help you.
I think you can, Jim. When we talked to those girls this morning, we drew up a new list of possible suspects.
Yeah?
Funny thing, one of the names on the list was yours.
Well, I've got nothing to hide.
Well, we'll make a systematic check of each name on the list and start with yours.
Well, will we have to go on the lie detector? I'd like to try that. I never saw one. Only pictures of it.
No, you won't have to go through that. It'll just be a couple of questions, and then we're going to check your locker.
Okay, I'd be glad to show you.
Does this take us to the locker room?
Yeah, we can cut through here.
Say, when we were questioning those girls this morning, some of them said that they saw you in different parts of the building when the knifings took place.
What do you mean?
Well, your location didn't exactly jibe with your classroom schedule. In other words, your class was on the 3rd floor, but you were seen down in the main corridor. Now, how do you account for that?
Well, you see, I usually take walks between periods. Sitting in classrooms makes me nervous sometimes, you know.
Uh-huh.
Here, I'll get the door.
All right.
Any other questions I can answer, Sergeant?
No, that's all.
How'd you happen to get interested in police work, Jim? You said your father was an engineer, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. I don't know how I got into it. I just took to it, I guess. I always liked to watch people's reactions and their behavior. Fascinating. The locker room's down this way.
Okay. What are you planning on doing when you graduate? College?
Yeah, I guess so. Dad wants to send me to MIT.
It's a good school.
Yeah. Say, if you ever have the time, I'd sure like to see some of the ballistics equipment down at the police crime lab. I've read up on ballistics quite a bit, too.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah. The polygraph lie detector. That's my favorite, though. Wonderful machine.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine charting positive and negative reactions like that. It's marvelous.
Yeah, it is.
Say, have either one of you ever read Dawson's treatise? I think it's called The Psychology of the Criminal Mind. You ever read it?
I think we had that in training, didn't we, Ben?
Something like that, yeah.
How about criminal behavior and its basis? Maxwell's book. Did you ever read that one?
No, I don't think I did.
It's a great book. I got quite a few textbooks on crime. There's one on sex crimes I just got. It's very good.
Mm-hmm. This locker room?
Yeah, I almost went past it. My locker's down this way.
How do you shave, Jim? You use an electric razor or a safety razor?
Me? Electric razor. They're the best.
Yeah, they're a lot easier to use.
Here it is. I'll open it for you.
All right. Ben, you got those envelopes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they are.
Okay, would you step aside there, Jim?
Yeah, sure.
All right, we'll get some dust scrapings from the shelf here. All right, there you are, Ben. You want to mark it?
Yeah. Jim Travers, dust scrapings from locker.
All right. Let's see here. Here's some more scrapings from the bottom of the locker this time. Huh?
Okay, I'll seal these envelopes. Oh, here's a nail file.
Okay, Jim. Now, will you hold out your right hand?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Hold an envelope under his hand, will you, Ben? Catch the nail scrapings.
Yep, here we are.
Say, what's all this for, Sergeant?
Oh, it's just routine with everybody, Jim. Just gonna take some sample specimens to run through the spectrograph.
Spectrograph?
Mm-hmm. Now, let me scrape that middle fingernail a little.
Oh, okay.
That's it. Now the index finger.
What about the spectrograph?
We use it all the time.
Well, it won't work in a case like this, will it?
All right, that's all for the right hand, Ben. Don't forget to mark the envelope.
Yeah. And some Jim Travers scrapings from fingernails of right hand. There we go.
All right, now the left hand, Jim.
Yeah.
No, we don't know if this is going to work or not. It's worth a try. We'll know this afternoon.
This afternoon?
Yeah. We'll have to run you through on the machine. Hold the envelope a little closer, Ben.
Oh, yeah.
Well, how's it going to help you?
It might tell us what you had for breakfast a week ago. It might tell us what kind of clothes you wore 3 days ago. The kind of objects you came in contact with.
Oh. Well, what kind of principles does it operate on?
Oh, I don't know. We can ask Lee Jones. Here, let me get the scrapings from your thumb. All right, there it is, and I'll seal it and mark it, Ben. You want to call the office and tell them we're on our way in?
Yeah, I'll be in that room right next to the principal's office.
Okay. You can close your locker, Jim. That's all.
Yeah, all right.
We'll check the things in your pockets when we get to the crime lab. Let's go.
That spectrograph must be a marvelous machine.
Well, it's worked for us a lot of times. If we've got evidence on a suspect, it either convicts him or it clears him. You'll probably get a kick out of it.
I'd like to see it. You say it tells you everything a person's come in contact with, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Could it tell you how I shave?
Well, how do you mean?
I mean, with an electric razor or a safety razor.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's one of the primary things. I don't know exactly how it works, but it does the job. We'll get Lee Jones to explain it to us.
Out this door. We can cut across the courtyard.
Oh, these are sure nice grounds.
Will they keep me long downtown, Sergeant?
What do you think, Jim? You know, the strange part about these knifings out here.
What's that?
Whoever's responsible probably doesn't even realize what he's doing.
Yeah.
Mentally, he's sick. He's very sick. Best thing for him would be a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Just like any other sickness, it's not going to get better by itself.
Yeah.
The only trouble is he's just getting his appetite up with these knifings. Now, if he goes much longer.
How about that spectrograph, Sergeant? Say, for instance, well, if I happen to hold a knife in my hand or maybe a razor.
Oh, yeah. That'd show on the machine. We go in here?
Yeah. It's a terrible thing. Whoever it is. Terrible thing.
Yes, it is. In here, Jim. Joe, how's it going? I think he's ready to tell us.
Hope so. I expect a girl won't.
All right, son, you want to tell us about it now?
I couldn't help myself. I had to do it. I had to. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't study unless I did it. I couldn't help myself.
You're responsible for all the knifings, are you?
You knew, didn't you? Who told you?
You told us, Jim.
I'm glad you caught me. It was getting worse. Might have been too late. I'm glad you caught me.
Why?
Barbara. After the prom tonight,
yeah,
I was going to kill her.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 15th, a hearing was held in Juvenile Court, Department 38, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to extra mild Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, Extra Mild Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the king-size cigarette that is extra mild.
Extra mild because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild, to give it a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
17-year-old James Travers was examined by court psychiatrists who found him to be one of the most dangerous mental cases they had ever examined. The boy's parents, who cooperated to the fullest with the police officers and with the court, made only one request, that the boy be committed to a private sanitarium. James Travers is now under confinement at that sanitarium for an indefinite period of time. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet from Los Angeles.
Screen Directors Playhouse presents a Damon Runyon story tomorrow on NBC.
The story you're about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. An elderly woman on her way to the bank has been robbed and beaten senseless. The suspects are cruel, ruthless. Your job, get 'em.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke extra mild Fatima. Yes, Fatima is the king-size cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild, to give Fatima a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Saturday, August 9th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Ed Walker, captain of robbery. My name's Friday. It was 10:14 a.m. when I got to room 27A, robbery detail.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, Joe.
Hi, Win.
How is he?
Won't know for a while.
What'd the vet say?
Thinks the dog picked up some kind of poisoned food.
Oh, it's too bad.
Sure hot. You got a penny?
Yeah. Yeah, there you are.
Thank you.
Somebody poisoned him, huh?
Yeah. That's what the vet says. I never could figure why some people poison dogs.
I can understand some people not liking animals, but I can't see why they poison food and then just toss it around wholesale loss.
You know how I feel about that dog of mine. If anything happens to him, I don't know what I'll do.
Oh, he'll be all right. Those vets can do wonders these days.
I sure hope so. They told me to check back with him about noon.
I'm about to melt in this heat.
Yeah, doesn't seem to be any air at all.
Well, tomorrow's Sunday. Guess I'll just lie out in the backyard.
It's going to be good to just loaf around and read the Sunday papers, huh? It's a hot shot.
I'll take it. My wife wants me to get out and get a little color. She says I'm better looking with a tan.
She ought to know.
All right. Will you get married, Joe? After so long, it gets so you believe everything they tell you.
Here's one to roll on.
Yeah?
Robbery and shooting. Victim's car was stolen. You want to get on it?
Right. Let's go, Joe.
Bank job. Don't make any plans for Sunday.
10:53 a.m. Ben and I pulled up in front of the Union Trust and Savings Bank at Melrose and Logan. We made our way through the usual crowd that was milling in and around the bank. We spoke with the manager, a Mr. Bill Fore. He told us that he didn't see the actual robbery. The victim was taken in the parking lot next to the bank. Her name was Myrtle Shaw, a longtime customer of the Union Trust and Savings. Fore told us that she always did her banking at the same time each day, around 10 in the morning when the bank first opened. He said she was the proprietor of Myrtle's Cafe, 4 doors west of the bank.
Let us through, please. Sorry, let us through here.
Officer, over here.
Yes, sir.
Friday and Romero, central robbery. Did you answer the call?
Yes, we did. Freeman and Welsh, Unit 13R. Ambulance just left. Victim didn't want to go to Georgia Street. Said she wanted her own doctor.
Okay, is she inside the cafe?
Yeah.
Let's go in, Ben. Are you Freeman?
No, I'm Welsh. Freeman's inside.
See if you can clear this crowd a little, will you, Welsh?
Right.
Thank you.
All right. You've seen everything now. Well, let's move along.
Come on.
Get black on your feet there. All right, officer. There she is, over in the last booth. Freeman?
Yes, sir.
Friday and Romero, central robbery. Is this the victim?
Yes, that's right. Her name's Myrtle Shaw.
Miss Shaw?
Yes, that's right.
My name's Romero. This is Sergeant Friday. We're from Robbery Division downtown.
You men detectives?
Yes, ma'am. We'd like to ask you a few questions.
Yes, all right. I hope you can catch the men that did this.
Well, we're going to do all we can.
It's a little hard for me to talk. My face is so swollen. I heard something terrible.
What happened?
One of them struck me,
Yes, ma'am, we know that. Do you want to tell us how it happened?
and I was on my way to the bank. I drove in the parking lot there next door.
Yeah.
I just got out of my car when these men walked over to me.
You're only 4 doors from the bank. Do you always drive such a short distance?
No. I just picked up my car from Edgar's filling station. I have it greased once a month.
I see.
Where was I?
You just driven into the parking lot when these men walked up to you.
Yes. Oh, yes. Well, one of them said, just hand over the money and there won't be any trouble. The other one said, this is a gun in my pocket, Grandma.
Yeah.
My head's splitting. Did someone call Dr. Van Hale?
Yes, ma'am. He's on his way.
Oh, thank you. Well, I carry my day's receipts in a cloth bank bag. I had it in my purse, and I wasn't sure if they knew I had any money.
Yeah?
I told them I didn't have any. And I was going in to draw some out, and one of the men said, look, old-timer, we don't want to get rough. Just hand it over. We know you got it.
What'd you do?
Well, I turned and started to walk away, and I saw this one man's arm flash out of his pocket, and then something hard like a rock struck me on the side of the face.
Must have slugged you with his gun.
Oh, yes, it couldn't have been his hand. I don't think he could have cut my face like this with his hand.
You should have let them take you to the emergency hospital.
No, I don't want to go in an ambulance. I want my own doctor. He'll know what to do.
The ambulance crew gave her first aid. She wouldn't let him take her.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Miss Shaw, would you know the men if you ever saw them again?
Well, I think so, yes. One of them looked like the worst kind of a hoodlum.
And then they got your money, huh?
Oh, yes. And they tell me they got away with my car, too.
How much money did you lose?
$116.23.
Do you own this cafe?
Yes, I do. It's a small place, as you can see. I do all the cooking and serving up to 11:30 in the morning. Then I have a college girl that waits on tables in the afternoon and evening.
Do you think those men have ever been in here in the cafe?
No.
Have you ever seen either of them before?
No, I never laid eyes on them before today.
How about the girl who works for you? You think she's ever seen them before?
I don't know. You can ask her. She should be here soon. What time is it now?
11:20.
Yes, she'll be along any minute. Oh, I wish there was something to stop this aching.
We know you must have a lot of pain, Miss Shaw, but we've got to ask a few more questions so we can get right on this.
Yeah, I understand. I'll tell you all I can.
Ben, do you want to get the dope on the stolen car and a description of the man? I'll call the office.
Right.
Say, is there a payphone I can use here, Miss Shaw?
Yes, right over there behind the phone.
Thank you.
Do you need change?
Yes, ma'am, I'm afraid I do.
I'll just help yourself in the cash register there.
Thank you. I put in a dime, taking out 2 nickels.
Oh, well, now, that wasn't necessary, young man. You didn't have to tell me.
Well, I know, but we don't like to open other people's cash registers.
You're a police officer, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
I trust you.
That seems to be the reason a lot of people don't. I called the office, and as fast as Ben repeated the information, I phoned it in. The detailed information was broadcast to all units. The stolen car was a 1946 green Ford sedan, license number 1X-ray 1898. All units were instructed to be on the lookout for the car, and if found abandoned, to notify robbery detail immediately and keep the car under surveillance until we arrived. I called in a description of the suspects and the fact that the money was taken in a cloth bag stamped Union Trust and Savings. Myrtle Shaw's doctor arrived, and she was ordered to bed for rest and treatment. Ben and I interrogated all the possible witnesses in the parking lot, and we found only one man who saw the actual robbery. His story compared to that of Miss Shaw's, but he could add nothing more. We talked with a young college student who worked in the restaurant. She didn't think she'd ever seen the men in question. We drove back to the city hall and went to the stats office. They made a run for us on the descriptions and M.O. that we had, and we pulled the packages of all possible suspects that the machine sorted out. We narrowed and sifted the 24 possibles down to 12. We took the mug shots out and showed them to the victim and the one witness. They could not identify any of them as the 2 men in the holdup. 2:35 p.m. Saturday. We started to canvass the neighborhood, door to door.
That takes care of Logan Street for 1 block, both sides. Want to start here on Melrose?
Okay. Let's try this drugstore.
I'm on fire. Paper says it's supposed to hit 99 today.
I believe it. Come on.
Yes, sir?
Police officers. We're looking for a couple of men. Here's the descriptions. I wonder if you'd read this and tell us if you've ever seen them.
Yes, sir. We got time to have a coat.
No, we better not. It's getting late.
No, I'm afraid I've never seen anybody who answers either one of these descriptions.
You sure?
Yeah, quite sure.
Well, thank you. I'll have to have that back.
Oh.
Let's go.
Is it just my imagination, or does it seem to be getting hotter to you?
Talking about it doesn't help.
I've tried ignoring it. That don't help neither.
Let's try this bakery.
How do you do, gentlemen?
All right, police officers. Wonder if you'd read the two descriptions listed here and tell us if you've ever seen either of these men.
Yes, of course. No.
Sure smells good in here, doesn't it?
No,
Yeah.
I don't seem to recall anybody that looks like this.
Anybody else in here who might have seen him?
No, I don't think so. I wait on trade.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Let's go.
That smells just like good old apple pie, doesn't it, Joe?
We're baking Danish coffee cakes at the moment.
Hmm.
The next place here is a plastic factory.
Yeah, looks like they're closed half-day Saturday again.
Somebody in there cleaning up. Guess he didn't hear me.
Oh, here he comes.
Yeah.
A lot of money in this plastics business.
Mm-hmm. Really came into its own during the war, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
The plant's closed Saturday afternoon.
Police officers. Wonder if you'd look this paper over and tell us if you may have seen two men answering these descriptions.
All right. I have to put my glasses on.
Yes, sir.
There now. I don't need them for sweeping, just reading.
All right, here you are.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
What was that?
I said, what do you think? Have you seen him?
Well, I don't know.
How do you mean?
I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. I may have seen one of them.
How about the other one?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't know about the other one.
But you do remember seeing one of them?
I might have seen both of them.
But you're not sure?
I don't know.
Well, do you want to tell us what you remember about the one you did see?
Oh, don't you want to know about the other one, too?
Well, yes, sir, we do, but I understood you to say that you didn't know about the other one.
No, I don't.
Well, you just tell us what you know, then.
Then you want me to just forget about the other fella?
No, sir, but if you don't know, it's all right.
I might know.
Yeah?
I haven't read about him yet.
Oh.
You asked me a question just as I finished reading about the first one. I was just starting on the second one at that time.
Yes, sir, sorry.
What was that you asked me?
Wasn't important.
Then I'll read about the second one.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I seen them 2 or 3 days ago, both of them.
In this neighborhood?
Yes, sir, right around back in the parking lot.
They work here?
No, sir, they don't. Seems to me I've seen them a couple of times.
What were they doing?
I don't recall. I just remember I've seen them.
You sure?
Yes, I'm positive. One of them had on a brown suit, the other gray, just like it says here. The descriptions fit all right.
You have any idea where these men might be now?
No, sir.
We're investigating a robbery. We want these men for questioning.
I wish I could help you more. I do know I've seen them, but that's about all. I don't know their names.
All right, sir. What's your name?
Seth Williamson.
We'll leave you one of our cards, Mr. Williamson. If you see him again, appreciate you letting us know.
Yes, sir. Sure will.
Let's go, then.
Wish we had something more definite to go on. If we just had a picture of the guy.
Yeah, it'd help.
There's a vacant lot in the corner. Finishes out this block.
All right. Let's double back on the other side of the street.
Right. Sure hot.
4:30 p.m. We continued knocking on doors, checking every place that was still open or showed any activity Saturday afternoon. We talked with hotel managers, janitors, and cleanup men at the different factories or business establishments. We checked grocery stores, private homes, everywhere that we could find anybody to show the descriptions to. By 6:15 p.m., the only person who showed any sign of recognition of the two hold-up men was still Seth Williamson, the janitor at the plastics plant. Before we took time out for a sandwich and a cup of coffee, we drove back to the city hall to check the office.
Hi, Friday.
What do you say, Marty?
A couple messages for you here.
Thanks.
What's the matter with you, Romero?
I'm dehydrated. That sun almost fried me.
Well, Joe, that one call there from your mother said tell you your dog's out of danger.
Oh, that's fine. Called in around 2, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, the other one's from some guy who says he wants to talk to you right away. Been calling in since about 3 this afternoon.
Seth Williamson, eh? Called 4 times.
Yeah. Said tell you he'd wait at that number there till he heard from you.
I'll call him right now.
Been hot downtown, Marty?
Pretty warm, yeah.
Any kickback on that stolen car?
No, not yet.
Benson Plastics.
This is Sergeant Friday, Police Department.
Oh, yes. I'm glad you called me back. I think I've got a little more information for you.
Yeah?
Those two fellas you were looking for, did you find them?
No, not yet.
Well, I just remembered what they were doing out back there in the parking lot.
Yeah?
They were taking pictures
Of what?
of the two girls that was with them. I remember now. There were two young women with them. One was a blonde, and the other I don't recall.
How were they dressed?
The blonde had on a white shirt of some kind and a black dress. That's all I can tell you for sure.
Who was taking the pictures?
First, the fellas took the girls' picture, and then the girls took snapshots of the fellas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Williamson.
Oh, it'll help you.
Yes, sir, it will. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
What do you got?
They've had their pictures taken.
Yeah?
Let's find the prints.
You are listening to Dragnet, the case history of a police investigation presented in the public interest by Fatima Cigarettes.
If you smoke a long cigarette, it will be in your interest to listen to a typical case history of a Fatima smoker.
It's the case of Miss Nancy Appel, a night news writer for one of the world's great press services. This is her actual signed statement.
When you're working hard, smoking more, it's nice to enjoy a really mild cigarette. I've found the king-size cigarette that has this quality above all others. That cigarette is Fatima. Because it's extra mild, Fatima is always more enjoyable. That's why I agree. It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
And more smokers agree to that every day. Actual figures show Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself.
The long cigarette, which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make it extra mild.
You will prefer Fatima's much different, much better flavor.
You will agree.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
The best of all long cigarettes.
Ben and I figured if we could possibly turn up the photographs that had been taken, we'd have something more definite to go on. We still had a lot of doubts. Maybe the janitor, Seth Williamson, was wrong. Maybe there were no pictures. If the snapshots had been taken, maybe they were still on the camera, undeveloped. With any kind of fast service and processing, the photos could have been picked up by now. We figured it was worth the chance and the time involved to check the lead out. All we had was the victim's scant description of the two hold-up men, and if we could possibly turn up pictures, it would help a great deal. If Williamson was right, we'd have another lead, the two girls. 6:40 p.m., we started checking drugstores, going through all prints that had not yet been picked up by the customers. We'd made the rounds of all the drugstores in the neighborhood earlier in the day, but we double-checked the descriptions of the two men with the personnel in each store. By 9 p.m., we'd checked out 10 drugstores and found nothing. We were going on the hunch that the photos would most likely be dropped off for processing somewhere in the immediate neighborhood. It was only a hunch, and we were running out of drugstores.
Police business. We'd like to go through your photos that have been left for developing.
Yes, sir. Here's the box right here.
Oh, thank you.
I'll take half. Not very many this time, huh? Oh, don't forget to check the negatives, too. Sometimes they don't print them if they're bad.
Yeah, I know.
No, nothing in this one.
People sure take a lot of pictures of babies, don't they?
Yeah.
Nothing. These are sure fuzzy. Pictures of the zoo.
Pictures of Yellowstone. Ben.
Yeah?
Pay dirt, maybe.
Let me see. Two guys. Two girls.
One's a blonde, white blouse, dark skirt.
Look close.
Now, let's see. Left by a Marion Lang, 223 East Bexel.
Well, Claire.
Yes, sir?
You want to double-check us on this envelope?
Yes, sir.
This date and time right here, 3:30 p.m., August 6th.
Yes, that's correct. That's when the films were left for processing.
3 days before the robbery.
Did you ever see this woman in the picture before?
Let me see.
This
Oh,
one?
yes. Yeah. She comes in here quite often. Miss Lang is her name.
How about these men or this other girl here?
No, I've never seen them.
When were these prints supposed to be picked up?
I waited on her. She told me she'd pick them up Friday, yesterday.
Well, we'll have to take these photos along with us. They'll be returned.
All right, sir. How will I explain this to Miss Lang?
If this is the right address, you won't have to. Before we left, we called the office and had a stakeout placed on the drugstore in case Marion Lang tried to pick up the photos. We checked the address she gave on the envelope, 223 East Bixel. It was a small apartment building near the corner. The manager told us that Marion Lang had moved out the morning of August 9th, the day of the robbery. She left no forwarding address. The manager knew nothing of the other girl or the men in the photos. We checked with Myrtle Shaw, the victim. She positively identified the two men as the ones who robbed and slugged her. She knew nothing of the two girls. Hadn't seen them before. We put out a warrant on Marion Lang and gave the photos to Lieutenant Frank Cunningham in the Record Bureau. Monday morning, August 11th.
Morning, Frank.
Hello, boy.
Any record on the guys?
Nothing we could find, no. I'm having copies sent out right now.
Kind of thought maybe if we came up with pictures, we'd be halfway home.
Maybe we are.
How do you mean?
I had Tony make some blow-ups from the negatives. Full of grain. Probably taken with a cheap box camera of some kind, but it might help.
What'd you find?
I just checked the enlargements. They're still in the wash, but I think we got something. Let's go over the photocopy.
All right.
Yeah, good and clear now. Clear as they'll ever be, anyway. There we go. I had 16 by 20 enlargements made. This will show you what I found.
Yeah?
You guys take a good look at the face of this one man here.
Thought we did. Why?
It's pretty hard to see on those small prints. Look here. You see the nose on this one?
Mm-hmm.
I'd guess it's been broken one time or another, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You see here? Scar over the left eye, scar over the right eye. A couple of them.
Yeah?
Look at the right ear. See how mashed it is?
Hmm.
We couldn't come up with any names for you, but I'll bet it'd be safe to guess his line of work.
Looks like a prize fighter.
Nothing in the oddity file. I checked and double-checked everything I could lay my hands on here in the department. I don't place him if he was a boxer of any standing.
I don't recall.
Isn't much. Wish I had something else for you.
It's a lead, isn't it?
Might be.
More than we had. It was possible that one of the two hold-up men in the photos could have been a professional fighter. From his appearance and build, we felt it was a fair guess. We took copies of the snapshots to the State Boxing Commission, Los Angeles branch. We spoke with a Mr. Farmer, who couldn't seem to recall the man from his picture. We went over the description that the victim had given us. Farmer said that he knew a great many of the fighters because at one time or another they all check in and out of the commission before a bout. But the man in the snapshot remained unidentified. He checked through several hundred cards bearing the photographs of boxers in the files. No luck. Farmer suggested that we try the Spring Street gym where the out-of-town fighters get into shape and the boxers in-town train. We left him a copy of the photograph and our card so that he could continue checking back through his files. It was 10:22 a.m. when we got to the Spring Street gym.
Here's the manager's door.
Come in. You the boss here?
Yeah. What can I do for you?
Police officers.
Yeah?
We're looking for a man we think might be a fighter. I wonder if you can help us out.
Sure try.
I'm Sergeant Friday. This is my partner, Ben Romero.
Hi. My name's Charlie Coleman.
Here's a couple of photographs for you to look at, Mr. Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen this fellow on the right?
Let's see here. Let's walk over by the window, get a little light on him. Wait a minute. Used to work out here all the time a couple of years back. Name's Billy. Marshall. Yeah, that's right. One of them named Billy the Kid Marshall.
Is he still around?
Oh, gee, I couldn't tell you. It's been a good 2 years since I've seen him up here.
Any idea where we might locate him?
I doubt it. Used to be a Benny Farber stable. Benny's been east now over a year. Let me check back through my locker listings. Maybe I still got something on it. Let's see. Out cards. Yeah, that's what we want. Let's take them over here by the window where we can read them. As I recall, Marshall wasn't much of a fighter.
father nursed him up through the prelims, got him in the semi-wind-ups. He started hitting the bottle. Played the dame. Oh, yeah, here we are.
Can I see that, please?
Oh, sure. Here's that. Okay. Billy the Kid. Big, beefy boy. Real sucker for right cross.
1637 Carver Avenue. That's the last address you got on him?
Whatever the card says, yeah. Real sucker for the old right cross.
Thank you very much, Mr. Coleman.
You're welcome, boys. Anytime. What's he done?
We just want him for questioning.
Oh, I see.
If you should hear from him, don't tell him we're looking for him.
Let's go. Thanks again.
What do you think he did wrong?
I don't know. How do you block a right cross? We called the new information into Captain Walker, and he sent a crew of men to the Boxing Commission to check further. 1637 Carver Avenue. It was a cheap rooming house on the west side of town. Marshall hadn't lived there for over a year and a half. The landlady gave us a forwarding address. The next place hadn't seen him for a year. We kept checking and rechecking, going from one end of town to the other. Each place was a little better than the last. It was easy to trace Billy the Kid's rise in the fight game, such as it was, by the condition of the places he lived in. We covered 6 different rooming houses, boarding houses, and apartments. Each time his residence had been a little more recent. 5:15 p.m., Monday, August 11th. We pulled up in front of the Sunflower Hotel, 433 Banyan Street. Rates, $2 a week and up.
Nobody at the desk. I'll ring the bell.
How do you do?
Police officers. Have you got a Billy Marshall registered here?
No, no one by that name here.
You take a look at this picture. Either one of these men live here?
Oh, sure, that's Tom Green and George Martin, room 9.
They in now?
I could buzz their room and see.
No, never mind. Room 9, you said.
Yes, sir, that's right.
Let's go.
Room 9.
Cover me.
Right.
Yeah? Special delivery letter.
Look it under the door.
You have to sign for it. All right, stand still, police officers.
Stop, Tom.
Watch it, Ben.
Take the other one, Tom. Joe, look out.
All right, hold it right there, Marshal. Get over there against the wall. You, get up. Go over there with him. Move. Give me a hand, Joe. I'll help you up. You all right?
Yeah, I'm okay.
There he is, Joe. Looks like his picture fits the description.
Except for one thing.
Yeah?
He's no sucker for a right cross.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On March 27th, 1947, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 81, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to extra mild Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, extra mild Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the king-size cigarette that is extra mild.
Extra mild because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild, to give it a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all, long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Both William Marshall and his accomplice were found guilty of armed robbery and grand theft auto and are now serving their terms as prescribed by law. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet transcribed from Los Angeles. Screen Directors presents Lucille Ball as Miss Grant tomorrow on NBC. The
about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A woman has been murdered, her identity unknown. The body shows the marks of a savage attack. Your job, find the killer.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke extra mild Fatima. Yes, Fatima is the king-size cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild, to give Fatima a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all, long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Sunday, December 25th. It was raining in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Blaine Steed, captain of homicide. My name's Friday. It was 39 minutes past 5 a.m. when I got to San Andreas Cathedral on 1st Street. Churchyard. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Joe. Body's over here.
All right.
Merry Christmas, huh?
Yeah.
Section from the church found it about an hour ago. Have a look. Pretty brutal.
Yeah. Okay. Who is she?
No identification.
The coroner checked the body yet?
Yeah.
How long's she been dead?
When it started raining. About midnight, didn't it?
Yeah. The ground's dry under the body.
Oh, been dead 5 or 6 hours, I'd say.
Ben get here yet?
Yeah, he's helping Claudio check the area.
This park here, is this all a part of the church grounds?
I think so. I was stuck out of this rain for a minute. There's an alcove over there by the church.
Yeah, come on. How much we got to go on, Dave?
Not much. Motive looks like robbery.
Yeah.
Found a woman's purse near the body. Pretty well picked over. Purse is wet. Lee Jones is dusting the contents for prints. Coroner's checking.
Any idea what the killer used in the woman's face?
The coroner figures a sharp instrument of some kind. A nasty one.
Yeah.
Friday, you look wet.
Hi, Ali. So do you.
Everything happened on Christmas. Purse was soaking wet.
Ordinary black handbag.
Raise any prints on the stuff inside?
Not a one. Here, you can check the contents.
Thank you, Lee. Let's see. Small comb. Most of the teeth out of it. 3 pennies. Hairpins, mirror, lipstick.
That's it, Holly.
A couple more things.
Yeah.
This fountain pen, this door key. Armstrong found them in the grass a few feet from the body.
Can I have a look at those?
Yeah, it's an ordinary ballpoint fountain pen. Buy them in any drugstore for 69 cents.
No sign of rust on the key. Must have been dropped recently.
Maybe this will explain what happened to her face. Broken beer bottle.
Where'd you find that?
Laughlin found it back in the bushes over there. These jagged edges here smeared with blood.
Mm-hmm.
Too much rain. Can't do anything about prints till it dries.
Can you get enough from these smears to run a precipitant?
Think so.
Lee, got a minute?
Yeah, Ben, what is it?
Oh, hi, Joe.
Hi.
Claudio found a set of footprints over by that clump of shrubbery. Rain hasn't spoiled them yet.
Did you cover them?
Yeah, I think you can get a pretty good cast from them.
Better get a picture of them right away. Hey, Charlie.
Right with you, Lee.
I'll get the stuff from the car. You mind giving me a hand, Dave?
Oh, let's go.
Well, this takes care of Christmas, Joe.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to check the body yet?
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Well, there's no sign of struggle. Could have happened after a Christmas Eve brawl, maybe.
Yeah?
Whoever the victim is, she was probably acquainted with the killer. The two of them came in the park, and the victim got it before she knew what was happening.
Might work easier if we find out who the victim is.
And we can check her prints through R&I when we get back to the office. What'd those footprints look like?
Seemed like a heavy print, maybe work shoes of some kind. Want to see how Lee's making out?
Yeah, let's go.
Gonna miss Christmas dinner again this year. Footprint, fountain pen, and key. Where do we start?
It's a cheap pen. They sell thousands of them. Want to smoke?
Oh, thanks. Footprints will help convict the killer. Gotta find him first. Thank you.
I don't know. Maybe we can work a switch.
How's that?
Find the lock that fits the key. 9 a.m., Christmas Day. Sergeants Dave Arroyo, Robert Claudio, Ben, and I went back to the office and took stock of what we had to work with. It wasn't much. The woman had been murdered. Who was she? Why was she killed? Who was the killer? Dave and Claudio had the dead woman's fingerprints taken, and they were run through the record bureau. Ben and I checked with Lee Jones at the crime lab. The results of the precipitant test showed that the type of blood found on the broken beer bottle matched that of the victim. From the cast of the foot impressions found at the scene of the killing, Lee estimated that they were made by a person approximately 5 feet 9 inches tall, weighing about 160 pounds. He figured the foot gear must have been of a heavy type, either a boot or a dress shoe with thick double soles, size 11. 9:40 a.m. We checked in at the basement of the Hall of Justice, the county morgue. Doc, how's it going?
All there, Joe. Death caused by multiple fracture of the skull. Flashing in the face was a contributing cause. I sent her close to Lee Jones.
Yeah, we know. No laundry mark.
Well, I got two things. Maybe they'll help, maybe they won't.
Yeah?
The chemist's report here on the blood analysis shows the victim was drinking. She was definitely under the influence at the time she was murdered. 0.12% alcohol in the blood.
Mm-hmm.
How about the murder weapon, Doc? We going to rule out that beer bottle?
I'm just coming to that. Step over here.
Yeah?
This mark here on the side of her face, brown smudge.
Well, Jones says that that's shoe polish. He analyzed a few of the particles.
Ties in. The cause of death was brought about by severe blows in the head and face.
Heavy shoe, huh?
That's my guess. Probably a boot or a work shoe.
That doesn't add, Joe.
How do you mean?
If they were heavy work shoes the killer was wearing, why were they polished? How many people polish their work shoes?
Could be waterproofing.
No, Jones says it was a brown paste polish.
Then it doesn't figure.
Unless the killer was wearing some kind of dress boots.
Cycle boots, maybe. Hundreds of kids on motorcycles wear them.
Yeah. That's going to be about as helpful as a key or a cheap fountain pen.
Huh? Excuse me. County morgue, Tyson speaking. Yeah, all right, Frank. I'll tell him. Cunningham at R&I wants to see you right away.
What's up?
They made the victim's prints.
During the war years, a complete file of pictures and fingerprints had been kept on all persons employed at local defense plants. Out of this file came our first major lead. The victim's fingerprints matched those of one Maria Camacho, 38 years old, formerly employed at Universal Aircraft. Her address in 1945 was listed as 9230 Sheridan Avenue. Ben and I went over to the crime lab, picked up the key and the fountain pen found near the body, and drove to the Sheridan Avenue address. The house was 3 blocks from the churchyard where the body was found. A young woman with a baby in her arms answered the door. She identified herself as Elena Gomez. She told us Maria Camacho was her aunt. They were expecting her for Christmas dinner late that afternoon. We told her what happened. When she recovered from the shock, we questioned her and her husband, a furniture worker.
So hard for me to believe. Why anyone would do this to me?
When's the last time you saw her, Mr. Gomez?
Well, she was around last night, Sergeant. She brought the presents for the kids. Always brought them presents on Christmas.
Did she live here? Was this her permanent address?
No. She stayed with us during the war when Ray was overseas. When he came back, she took a room down the street. I can give you the address.
All right. What time did Maria leave the house last night?
Well, let's see. Must have been around 10 o'clock. Not much later. Don't you think, Elena? About 10 o'clock?
Yeah, that's right. Go see what those kids are doing, huh, Ray?
Yeah, all right.
Did Maria have anything to drink here last night, Miss Gomez?
Yes, we had a glass of sherry together, that's all.
Could you tell if she'd been drinking before she came here?
Oh, it was Christmas Eve. I guess she'd had a few. Why?
Was she a pretty heavy drinker?
Not usually, no. Maybe on the holidays, though. Maria liked to get out and have fun, living alone and all that. Poor Maria.
Well, did she drink at home, or was there some particular place she liked to go?
A cantina down on Soda Street. She used to go there.
Any others?
A couple of bars on Brooklyn Avenue. I don't know the names.
What'd Maria do for a living, Miss Gomez?
She took in some dressmaking. Worked for herself. She wasn't poor, wasn't rich. Her landlady could tell you about her friends.
Kids are hungry, Lana. Dinner's getting cold.
Sorry that we had to break in on you like this.
Well, it's all right, Sergeant. It's just the kids.
Ask the officers if they want some mint pie, Ray. Cup of coffee.
No. That's all right, Miss Gomez. Thank you.
Just one more thing. Would you look at these, please? This pen.
Sure, that's Maria's. Look, Ray, Maria's pen.
Mm-hmm. Now, how about this key?
No, I never saw that before.
Neither did I.
Well, thanks very much, both of you. Sorry to hold up your dinner.
Oh, that's all right. We're not hungry. Hey, maybe I could fix you a turkey sandwich or
No, thank you. Just the same, we have to be going.
We'll contact you later on. Here's our card.
All right. I can't think of a reason, Sergeant. Why someone would kill her. Why would they kill Maria? Poor Maria.
Come on, honey. Come on.
Nice kid. Seem to be having a good Christmas.
Too bad we had to spoil it. We drove down the street to the rooming house where Maria Camacho stayed. We talked to the landlady and the rest of the tenants, but failed to come up with a lead. They told us Maria Camacho drank a little, but she was always pleasant, easy to get along with. We checked her room. We went through stacks of Spanish-language newspapers and magazines. We went through her bills, photographs, her letters. We found nothing. There wasn't an item in the small apartment that could help us. We went through the entire rooming house, trying each door with a key that we'd found by the body. It didn't fit any of them, not even the door to the victim's room. 5 p.m. There was a lull in the rain. We picked up Dave and Claudio and started to explore the only lead we had. The victim had been drinking a few hours before she'd been murdered, probably at a neighborhood tavern. For the next 6 hours, we canvassed every bar in the vicinity. 11:15 p.m., Christmas night. The four of us met in a combination bar-restaurant at Brooklyn and Soto for a bite to eat.
You had as much luck as we did, huh?
Nothing, Dave. Everybody we talked to knew the woman. Nobody saw her Christmas Eve.
We picked up the names of a dozen friends of hers from the bartenders. Checked them out. They couldn't tell us anything.
Well, we still got another dozen bars to cover at least. She must have been in one of them last night.
Wish we'd find it. My wife's sure mad.
You got company, so's mine.
All right, gentlemen. Who had the grilled ham sandwich?
I did.
All right. And 3 hamburgers?
Yep.
There we go. Our plate.
You got some ketchup, please?
Sure. Say, you wouldn't like a little eggnog to go with that. It's good. I make the batter myself.
No.
Hey, there's something you can do for us.
Yes, sir?
Would you look at this picture?
All right.
See if you can identify this woman.
Sure looks like Maria. Yeah, that's her. You know her?
Was she in here last night, do you know?
Yeah, she was.
What time was she in?
Oh, about 11:30. Why?
Was she with somebody?
Oh, half a dozen of them at least. Maria, another woman, and 4 or 5 men.
Were they drinking?
Well, they were well behaved. Just having a little Christmas cheer, that's all. They liked my eggnog.
At what time did Maria leave? Do you remember?
Well, no, not exactly, but she left before the others. They closed the place. You fellas cops?
Did she leave alone?
No, Tony followed her out. I think it must have been sometime around midnight. I'm not sure.
Who's Tony?
Tony Perez. He's busboy here. He knows Maria.
Where's he now?
Christmas. He's off. Lives in a hotel down the street someplace. I don't know.
Time fits.
Maybe the key does. Dave and Claudio started to check the neighborhood to locate the hotel where Tony Perez stayed. Ben and I continued our canvass of bars and restaurants in the area. 1 a.m., the rain started in again. We checked in at a bar on Brooklyn Avenue near Cornwall, the Cantina Sinaloa.
Yes, sir. Gentlemen?
Police officers, would you look at this picture, please, see if you can identify it?
Wait till I dry my hands. I'm just getting some of these glasses out of the way. Let's see.
Never see her before?
Oh, yeah, that's Maria. Too bad. I read in the papers about it.
Can you tell us if she was in here last night?
No, I didn't see her. I read in the papers about it, though. Terrible. Poor Maria.
Is it possible she might have been in? You didn't see her?
No, I always know when Maria's here. She was always full of fun. She liked to sing. I better get these glasses finished.
Ben, you want to call the office?
Yeah, okay.
How about a drink, Sergeant? You don't look so good.
You got any coffee?
Not very fresh. It's been standing there a couple of hours.
Well, that's all right.
Okay. Here. Here's the sugar.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's not very warm, huh?
Oh, that's okay.
What do you think, officer? The guy was crazy?
I don't know.
He must have been crazy. Lots of nice rain. That's good for the farmers.
Yeah.
Sure.
You ever see this key before?
Let's see. I don't know.
Joe.
Yeah.
Dave and Claudio found the hotel that picked up Tony Perez. Took him in.
What did he tell him?
Dave says they're talking to him now. He won't say much.
Did they find anything on him?
He's wearing a pair of dark brown boots.
Yeah.
Well polished.
You are listening to Dragnet, the case history of a police investigation presented in the public interest by Fatima Cigarettes.
If you smoke a long cigarette, it will be in your interest to listen to a typical case history of a Fatima smoker.
It's the case of skater Larry Jackson, one of the stars of the Los Angeles Ice Capades. This is his actual signed statement.
When the excitement of the show is over, a mild cigarette is important for smoking enjoyment. I found Fatima the most enjoyable king-size cigarette because it's extra mild. I agree it's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
And so do more and more smokers every day. Actual figures show extra mild Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself.
The king-size cigarette, which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make it extra mild.
You will prefer Fatima's much different, much better flavor.
You will agree.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
The best of all long cigarettes.
Monday, December 26th, 9 a.m. We checked Tony Perez through R&I. He had a record of 7 arrests, but no convictions. During the past year, he'd been booked on suspicion of 211 PC, assault with intent to do great bodily harm, and second-degree burglary. In each instance, he'd been released for a lack of evidence. All of his shoes and clothing were brought to the crime lab for examination. 9:25 a.m. We brought Perez back to the interrogation room. He admitted that he had been with Maria Camacho Christmas Eve, but he denied having anything to do with her killing. He told us that after he had left Maria, he'd gone to a party at some friend's house. Dave and Claudio went out to check his story. I gave them the key found near the body and asked them to try it on the door to Perez's hotel room. Ben and I continued to question the suspect.
How well did you know Maria Camacho, Tony?
I told you already. She was just some old crow who used to hang around the bars, that's all. I used to talk to her once in a while.
You ever have any arguments with her?
No. How many times you going to ask me that?
It would help a lot if you could tell us exactly where you left Maria Christmas Eve and when you left her.
I told you already. I don't remember exactly. We were drinking. We were all drinking. I don't remember.
How'd you get to that party?
I walked. Place down on Malabar Street. Maria stopped at a bar someplace along the way, and that's the last time I saw her.
Did you go in with her?
No, she went in alone. I went to the party. That's all I know.
Interrogation room Friday.
Lee Jones, Joe.
Yeah.
Check the polish on Perez's boots. It matches with the smear of polish on the victim's face. Wax components are exactly the same.
Good. How about the cast?
Nope, they didn't match. The prints we cast out there were size 11, big heel. Perez wears a 9, pretty small heel. No match at all.
What about the other stuff?
Went over the rest of his shoes and his clothes. Nothing that ties in.
Okay, Lee. Thank you. Do you shine your own boots, Tony?
No. Why?
Where do you get them shined?
I go to Angelo's, Chicago Street, right near First.
When's the last time you got a shine?
Oh, Christmas Eve.
What time Christmas Eve, Tony?
When I got off work, about 2 in the afternoon.
Hi.
Hi, Dave.
See one of you outside a minute?
Yeah.
Perez telling the truth about the party. He was there. We timed out how long it would take him to walk from the restaurant to the party.
Yeah?
Pretty close. friends say he got to the party about 12:30. Doesn't look like he had time to kill that woman.
Well, where does that leave us?
Still got those boots?
No, no more. They don't match the impressions at the murder scene.
Well, that makes us even.
Huh?
Here's your key back. Didn't fit.
Tony Perez was held for further investigation. Dave and Claudio took up the canvassing of bars in the same area where we'd left off the night before. Ben and I drove down to Angelo's Shine Stand. It stood just outside a barber shop, 4 chairs with an awning full of cigarette holes over them. He identified Maria Camacho's picture immediately. We questioned him while he polished her shoes.
Maria, I used to tell her, Sergeant, running around like that, she had so many friends. Too many.
Did you see Maria on Christmas Eve, Angelo?
Christmas Eve? Let me see. No, last time was 2 days before Christmas.
Angelo, do you know a man by the name of Tony Perez?
Tony? Sure. Tony Perez. Tall fella, big shoulders.
Was he one of your customers?
Yeah, all the time he comes to see me.
Was he here on Christmas Eve, Angelo?
Yeah, he was here. I gave him a shine. Good customer.
You remember what kind of shoes he had on?
Sure. Boots. He always wears boots.
What color were they, do you know?
Brown. Always wears brown boots. Well, what's the matter? Tony in trouble?
What kind of polish do you use on his boots, Angelo?
Well, I got the can down here. Yeah, this one here. High-grade polish. If you got boots, I can fix them up.
Do you use the same polish on all the boots you shine, Angelo?
No, only the brown boots. That's brown polish. You fellas ask too many questions. You make me go too slow.
Well, there's no rush, Angelo. Can you tell me this?
Yeah?
Besides Tony Perez, was there anybody else with brown boots who got a shine from you Christmas Eve?
Well, I don't know. Lots of people get shine. Christmas Eve is pretty busy.
Just the people with brown boots, Angelo. Can you remember?
No, I don't think so. Tony was the only one with the brown boots. There's no others.
And how about heavy brown shoes?
Huh?
Can you remember the people with heavy brown shoes that came in for a shine?
No, I don't know. Look, please, just letting me shine your shoes, huh?
That can of brown polish, Angelo, you say that's the kind you use on Tony Perez's boots?
Yeah, that's the kind. This kind right here.
Well, can you remember how many times you used that polish on Christmas Eve?
Well, I opened this can that morning. You can see how much is gone. Maybe I use it, maybe half a dozen times.
Can you remember the people whose shoes call for this kind of polish?
Yeah, lots of them. Brown shoes. I know the feet when I see them. I don't know the faces.
Don't you remember any of them?
If they like the shine, maybe by and by they come back. There were 3 or 4 fellas, maybe. I see them before. I don't know their names. Okay, finished. You like the shine?
Oh, yeah, fine.
See, I'm going to buy that can of polish from you, Angelo, and we're going to check back with you later.
Okay. Here it is. That's fine polish, Sergeant. Best you can get.
Yeah, but it rubs off. December 26th, 5 p.m. We drove back to the crime lab and had Lee Jones analyze the can of shoe polish. It matched exactly with the particles of shoe polish taken from the victim's body and from the boots of Tony Perez. We arranged for a stakeout at Angelo's Shine Stand. In case the people with heavy brown shoes returned, Angelo could point them out immediately to the men on duty. 5:30 p.m., Dave and Claudio called in. They thought they had another nibble, this time from the bartender at the El Cedello Tavern, a bar on Soto Street. We drove down to South Main and Harlem Place for a meet.
Hi, Dave.
Hi. Figured we'd better move on this tonight.
What's the pitch?
Bartender on Soto tipped me that Maria Camacho was in his place Christmas Eve. Said it was a little after midnight.
Yeah?
Said she had a drink, left the place about 10 minutes past 12 with a guy called Frank Tolano. Nosed around, found Miss Tolano works at the Midnight Mission. Over there.
All right, let's go.
This it, Dave?
Yeah. Good Friends Mission.
Come in for a nice, warm, spiritual bath. Coffee and soup free.
Watch the stairs.
Yeah.
Now, brothers, I only hope that our little meeting here has brought you closer and made your souls to glow with the great and glorious light of the Spirit. And yes, brothers, if we be not born again of that light, as the book says, we'll be damned, brothers. Damned. Amen.
Amen.
Now, brothers, while Sister Myrtle Ferguson plays one of her stirring marches, let's join arms, brother to brother, and march into the lunchroom where, through the kind graces of one of our benefactors, Pete Boudouris of the Acropolis Cafe, each one of you will be entitled to a bowl of turkey soup, some of Sister Wilson's homemade bread, and a cut of mince pie. Sister Ferguson, march.
Guess that's the man to see.
Yeah, let's go.
Sure pack 'em in, don't they?
That soup smells real good.
Excuse me, sir?
Yes, brother? What is it?
Police officers. Do you have a Frank Delano working here?
Well, what's the trouble?
Does he work here?
Well, yes, he's a very good man, Frank. Anything wrong?
Is he here now?
No, he isn't.
Where can we find him?
Well, I'd like to know what the trouble is.
We'd like to talk to him, mister, that's all.
Well, he has a room at Good Friends Mission Annex. That's over on San Pedro Street.
Is that his permanent residence, the Mission Annex?
Yes, Frank's very helpful. He works for a small salary, and we give him room and board.
Is he over at the annex now?
Yes, but maybe you'd better not see him now, officer.
Why not?
Well, Frank's not at his best. He's been drinking again. That's the surest sign.
How do you mean?
Well, whenever Frank starts drinking, that means that he's worrying. He's one of those. He drinks to forget.
Yeah.
He's been drinking for 3 days.
He must have a lot to forget. Come on. 6:30 p.m. We drove over to the Good Friends Mission Annex on San Pedro Street. The man in charge told us that Delano had a small room to himself at the rear of the second floor. Dave and Claudio went around to cover the Mission Annex from the back. Ben and I went up a narrow flight of wooden stairs. The plain white plaster walls were chipped and cracked and scrawled with pencil markings. We walked down to the end of a wide hallway to a brown paneled door with a transom above it. There was a man in soiled work clothes sitting on the bed. On the table next to him, there were 3-quart wine bottles. 2 of them were empty.
Get out of here. You Frank Delano? What about it?
Police officers like to talk to you.
Get out of here. You're not taking me. I'll cut you to pieces.
Drop the bottle, Delano.
Get out of here. Drop the bottle. I'll cut you to pieces. Like you cut Maria. I'll kill you.
Put it down, Delano. Drop it. Get the cuffs on him.
Yeah. Let's go.
Just a minute. Yeah, it fits.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On March 7th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 94, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to extra mild Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, extra mild Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the king-size cigarette that is extra mild.
Extra mild because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild, to give it a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all, long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Frank Dominic Delano was tried and convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. He is now serving his term in the state penitentiary. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Patty Page visits Jack Birch tomorrow morning on NBC.
Ladies and gentlemen, we suggest that you pay particular attention to an important announcement, which will be given at the end of tonight's program.
The story you're about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to Personnel Division. A resident of your city files a report of robbery and assault. The suspect, a rookie police officer. Your job, arrest him.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke extra mild Fatima. Yes, Fatima is the king-size cigarette, which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make it extra mild, to give Fatima a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all, long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, transcribed in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, April 9th. It was foggy in Los Angeles. We were working a day watch out of Personnel. My partner's Ben Romero, the boss is Deputy Chief Holman, Commander BIA. My name's Friday. We're on the way over from the City Hall, and it was 5:25 p.m. when we got to Central Division. The assembly room.
See him, Joe?
Yeah, it looks like him over there.
I'll let you know.
Hi. You Russell Clark?
Yeah, that's right.
Friday and Romero, Personnel.
All right.
Lieutenant Drummond over at BIA would like to talk to you.
All right. When do you want to see me?
Right now.
Okay. All right, we're looking for cap. Okay, let's go. What do they want to see me about, you know?
Drummond will tell you.
Okay.
How long you been on the job, Clark?
About 2.5 months.
How do you like it?
Oh, I like it fine. Wife doesn't think much of it. She wanted me to stay at my old job.
What was that?
Selling insurance. Likes to have me home nights. Doesn't like to be alone, especially now.
Yeah?
She's expecting in a couple of months. You know how they get.
Yeah. Just across here.
Hey, I put in a request for day work. Do you think that's why Personnel wants to see me?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Boy, I'd sure like to get that day watch.
Yeah.
That the way you fellas started?
I did, yeah. You started in traffic, didn't you, Ben?
Yeah, uh-huh. Had 9 months of it. Go ahead, Clark.
Oh, thanks. I have to be on the job at 6. Think it's going to take very long?
I don't know.
Hi, Friday.
Hi.
Right in, Lieutenant's waiting. Personnel, Coleman.
Lieutenant?
Yeah, come in.
This is Officer Clark, Lieutenant Drummond.
How do you do, sir?
How are you, Clark? Sit down.
Thanks.
A couple of questions for you.
Yes, sir?
You were on special duty at the Olympic Auditorium last night, is that right?
Yes, sir, for the fights.
Anything unusual happen out there last night?
Well, it wasn't very important, Lieutenant. After the fights, a drunk fell down the stairs on the way out of the auditorium, broke his arm. I took him to Georgia Street, and they took care of the arm, and I drove him home. He was pretty drunk.
Why didn't you book the man?
I didn't think it was necessary.
How long you been with the department, Clark?
2.5 months, sir.
Didn't you know he should have been booked for violation of 4127A LAMC?
Well, the man was in pretty bad shape, Lieutenant. Broken arm. I guess I didn't think the law was that strict.
Law's there for a purpose. You decided to forget it, now you're in a mess, right up to your neck.
I don't understand.
You remember the name of that drunk you took care of last night?
Yes, sir. His name was Stacy. Lives out in West L.A. What's the matter, Lieutenant?
That drunk, Mr. Stacy, wants to file a complaint against you.
What for?
He claims you took him back to the auditorium, beat him up, broke his arm, and robbed him of $128.
Oh, he's crazy. He's lying. I didn't do that.
Got his word against yours, Clark. Facts seem to favor him.
But I can prove it. Well, there was at least a couple of dozen people around. There was a doctor. He can tell you.
Maybe you better take it from the beginning, Clark. Exactly how did it happen?
I was right after the fights. I was on duty in the lobby, and I saw a bunch of people crowding around the foot of the stairs.
Yeah?
I went over to see what the trouble was, and they were looking at this man lying on the pavement. It was Stacy. A doctor was examining him.
This doctor, did he identify himself?
Yeah. I asked for his identification. He showed it to me. Gave me a card. He was doctor, all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, he told me that he'd seen Stacy fall down the stairs coming out of the auditorium. Said that Stacy had broken his left arm.
What'd you do then?
Well, the doc said it'd be okay to move him, so I helped him into my car and took him down to Georgia Street. He was so drunk he could hardly stand up. The attendants at Georgia Street took care of his arm. Well, they can tell you all about this.
Maybe, but they can't help you out as witnesses. You could have beaten up Stacy, robbed him, then taken him to Georgia Street.
But I didn't, Lieutenant. I tell you that Stacy's lying.
What'd you do when you left Georgia Street?
Well, I drove into Central and told him what happened. I told the watch commander I was going to drive this Stacy home, and he warned me about it. Guess I should have known better, but... Well, I swear to you this Stacy's lying.
You should have known better. Where'd you go after you left Central?
I drove him home. On the way, he said he was hungry, so I stopped. I bought him a sandwich and some black coffee. Kept telling me what a nag his wife was. Said he was afraid to go home.
Go on.
Well, when I got into his place, his wife started chewing me out. I just said goodnight and left.
That's it, huh?
That's it. So help me, that's exactly what happened.
Now, how about the doctor at the auditorium, the one who saw Stacy fall? Did you get his name and address?
Well, no, Lieutenant, I didn't. I didn't think it was necessary.
How about the crowd that was standing around? Did you spot anybody you know?
No, I didn't. They're just a bunch of people coming out of the fights.
Then you haven't got anyone to corroborate your story.
But all those people saw it. There must have been a couple of dozen of them.
What are their names?
Well, I don't know. All I know is I didn't beat him up and I didn't take his money. I tell you, the Stacy's lying.
You could be lying. We got no proof either way.
I'm not lying, Lieutenant. I didn't do it.
We might believe you, Clark. That doesn't make any difference. If this man files a 211 against you, it's got to be settled in court.
But I didn't do it. I tell you, I swear I did.
Just a minute. Mike, send in Mr. and Mrs. Stacy, will you? You can hear the story the way we get it from Stacy and his wife.
I'd like to hear it. I don't know why he's doing this to me. I helped him all I could.
Look, Jerry, there he is. That's the one.
Yeah, that's him, Chief.
Now, wait a minute, Mr. Stacy. What's this all about?
Hold it, Clark. Mr. Stacy, would you repeat the same story you told us this morning, please?
You know what I told you, Chief. You had the stenographer take it all down. It's the same thing.
I'd like to have you repeat it in front of Officer Clark here. He's entitled to know what you're charging him with.
A man like that's entitled to nothing. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Look, lady, your husband's lying.
Don't call my husband a liar. You're not a policeman. You're a hoodlum.
All right, wait a minute.
I'd like to know what this city's coming to. Cops going around beating up private citizens. Who do we trust if we can't trust a policeman?
Just a minute, please.
You don't know, Captain. You should have seen my husband when that officer brought him home last night. Arm all bandaged, his face all cut up. He was hurt so bad he could hardly stand up.
He was too drunk to stand up, lady.
Don't you get fresh with me, man.
All right, that's enough.
This cop got hold of me as I was coming out of the fights. Took me in back of the auditorium. Told me if I didn't hand over my wallet, he'd book me on a drunk charge.
Were you drunk, Stacy?
I was not. Had a couple of beers, that's all. When I wouldn't give him my money, he beat me up. Broke my arm and took my wallet.
How do men like you ever get on the police force?
He figured he'd cover up, so he took me and had my arm fixed at the emergency hospital. Then he drove me home. Threatened me all the way. He said, you tell anybody about this and I'll get you. That's just what he said.
I don't get it, Stacy. You know that story's a pack of lies. Why are you doing this to me?
It's the truth. And I'm going to press charges and get my money back.
$128. What have you done with it?
We can take care of the questioning, Mrs. Stacy.
I don't see you doing it. Make him tell. Where's our money?
I haven't got it.
Don't talk back to me.
Mr. Stacy, you and your wife want to file a crime report at this time.
We want to press charges.
Romero?
Yeah?
Take Mr. and Mrs. Stacy down to Record Bureau, have them make out a report for 211 and assault.
All right. Get them away, please.
Now listen. We're going to get action if we have to take this to the district attorney. We're not afraid of the publicity. We'll go to the newspaper if we don't get action.
Yes, ma'am.
What's it, Clark?
They're lying. I can't prove it, but they're lying.
Well, you can see the position it puts us in. If you're innocent, we'll do all we can. If you're guilty, we'll see you get everything that's coming to you.
But they're lying. You know that.
It's not up to us. The court's going to have to decide.
That's it.
That's it.
Well, there's no other way, Clark. We got 4,500 men in the department. We don't claim they're all saints. Once in a while, a bad cop comes along, he pulls a caper, and all of us get a black eye. This book of rules is the only protection we got against that. By failing to enforce the law, you violated your duty as a police officer. Got yourself in a real mess, Clark. Like anybody else, you get a fair trial.
Does that mean I'm dropped from the force?
Those people have filed a crime report. Draw suspension pending the outcome of the case. After that, if you're cleared, there'll be a hearing before the Board of Rights.
Right through right now?
You'll be booked for robbery and assault and held in county jail. Case will be presented to the district attorney tomorrow.
What can I do?
I'll have to have your badge. On the desk. Your gun? ID card?
Yeah.
On the desk.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, that's it.
Okay.
Take them.
6 p.m. Ben returned to the office, and together we took rookie police officer Russell Clark across the street to the Hall of Justice. At the county jail booking desk on the 12th floor, he was booked on suspicion of 211 PC and assault with intent to do great bodily harm. He was lodged in the cell block. Investigating charges against a police officer involves exactly the same procedure as cases where private citizens are concerned. Prove the suspect innocent or guilty. That's the job. If Clark was innocent, it looked like there was only one way of proving it. That was somehow to find the unnamed doctor who was supposed to have seen Stacy fall down the auditorium stairs and then examined him afterward. If Clark was guilty, we had to find proof that his story about Stacy falling downstairs was a lie. Besides that, we had to find evidence that he beat up Stacy at the rear of the auditorium that night and that he robbed him of $128. Thursday, April 10th. Ben and I checked in for work at 7:45 a.m. and found a message from the jailer on the phone board. Clark wanted to see us right away. We met with him in the county jail interview room.
How you doing? Not too bad.
Don't let it sour you, huh?
Sergeant, you really think I rolled that character? Come on, tell me the truth.
We checked you out. Good family. You got a fine Army record. No, we don't think you did it.
I just can't understand why he picked me out. I tried to help him all I could. Then he walks in the next day with a frame story like that.
You got any idea why Stacy would pull something like this on you?
I don't know. I'm worried, Sergeant. Believe me, I can't afford to sit here missing my pay. We live pretty close to the budget with a baby coming. I'm worried about the wife. I just don't know what to do.
You sure you told us everything about this that you remember?
Well, that's the one reason I wanted to see you. I didn't sleep much last night. I kept trying to remember the name of that doctor.
Yeah?
Well, I remember once he did mention his name, and then when I asked for his identification, he showed me one of his cards.
Any idea what his name was?
Well, I'm not sure, but as I remembered, it was some kind of a Swedish or Norwegian name, something like Johnson, Tollefson, something with a son on the end of it. It's on that card.
That doesn't narrow it down too much. Where is the card?
Well, I think I put his card in one of the pockets of my other uniform shirt. That's why I called you. I wonder if you could check that for me. It's at home.
Sure. Where do you live?
Out on Norwich Road, 411. It's right near the Coliseum.
411.
Yeah.
All right, we'll check it out for you.
Just ask the wife, will you? Card should be in one of the pockets.
Yeah, if you put it there. Ben and I left the interview room at the county jail and drove out to the home of Officer Clark on Norwich Road. We introduced ourselves to his wife and told her what we were after. Her eyes were red and looked like she'd been crying. She asked about her husband. We told her he was all right.
They're making a terrible mistake, Sergeant. Russ never did anything crooked in his life. He didn't do it. I know he didn't.
We'll do everything we can to straighten it out, Mrs. Clark. The court will have the final say.
I knew Russ shouldn't have left his insurance job. I just knew it, all this trouble.
How about that shirt that your husband told us about, the one he wore that night at the auditorium?
Oh, yes, his other uniform shirt.
Mm-hmm. Can we see it, please?
Oh, yes, certainly. It's right this way, back in bed. What's so important about the shirt, Sergeant?
Your husband told us that there might be a card in one of the pockets. Might help clear up things.
Well, it should be hanging up here in the closet. I always like to keep Russ's shirts on hangers. He keeps them much nicer looking.
What's the matter?
This morning I sent it to the cleaners.
Clark's wife, Ben, and I drove down to a dry cleaning shop a few blocks away where Mrs. Clark had left the shirt. The counter girl there told us that the truck had already been by that morning and picked up the day's cleaning. It was a store rule to check all garments for contents. She had found nothing. We got the address of the main plant, the Great Northern Dry Cleaners, a place down on Factory Street. 10:15 a.m. We checked in at the main plant and explained to the manager what we were after. We gave him the tag number of her cleaning, and Mrs. Clark gave him the description of the shirt. We waited in the manager's office while he made a search for the dark blue wool police shirt.
How about this one, lady? It's the only blue wool shirt picked up at your cleaners this morning.
Yes, that's Russ's shirt. That pocket flap there, I mended it.
I'll check the pockets for you. I had to pull it out of the tank. It's all wet.
Anything?
Not in this pocket. Try the other one.
Yeah?
Look for yourself.
Nothing.
You are listening to Dragnet, the case history of a police investigation, presented in the public interest by Fatima Cigarettes.
If you smoke a long cigarette, it will be in your interest to listen to a typical case history of a Fatima smoker.
It's the case of Northwest Airlines stewardess Jean Madsen. This is her actual signed statement.
There's one thing I really look forward to after a long flight. A good, mild smoke. That's why I prefer the new king-size Fatima. It's milder than any other long cigarette I've tried. Yes, I agree. It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
And so do more and more smokers every day. Actual figures show extra mild Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself.
The king-size cigarette, which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make it extra mild.
You will prefer Fatima's much different, much better flavor.
You will agree.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
The best of all long cigarettes.
Thursday, April 10th. Shortly after noon, the daily newspapers were on the streets, and the head on one of the top front-page stories read, "Rookie cop slugs robbed citizen." Ben and I went back to the county jail and told Clark that we'd failed to find the card. He could give us no other lead that might help in clearing the case. During the next 2 days that followed, Ben and I ran down every possible lead, no matter how remote it was. I made a thorough check on Mr. and Mrs. Stacy. We double-checked back on Clark's record. For one full day, we did nothing but phone doctors in and around the city of Los Angeles. From a list of hundreds, we came across 3 doctors who had been present at the fights in Olympic Auditorium on the night Stacy claimed he was beaten up and robbed by Officer Clark. None of the 3 had seen a man tumble down the stairway leading from the balcony to the lobby. None of them had seen any accident or had been called on to help anyone professionally. Monday, April 14th, we met with Lieutenant Ralph Drummond.
No go, huh?
That's got us, Ralph. We can't figure. It's almost a fact Stacy's lying.
Clark, what about him?
Well, there's still nothing to show that he didn't do it. He had the opportunity. Maybe he had a motive. He needs money, you know.
Who doesn't?
How much you get on Stacy?
He and his wife run a second-hand furniture store in South Flower. It's a small business. Stacy's quite a gambler. He bets on the fights.
Yeah?
We checked around with some of the gang down at the auditorium. Stacy's well-known down there. He laid some pretty heavy bets the night he claims Clark rolled him.
How much?
You got the dope there, Ben. How's it figure out?
He lost over $75 in small amounts. Add to that the fact that he was doing some partying. That might account for the 128 he's missing.
Stacy blew the roll, was afraid to tell his wife, so he cooked up the story against Clark.
Yeah, sure. Maybe that could have been the way it happened.
What do you got on the other side?
Not much, Ralph. Couldn't dig up anything against Clark. I don't know. He doesn't seem like the type to pull something like that.
Maybe not. We still can't prove he didn't do it. How about the papers? You've been plugging for witnesses?
Yeah. Here's the ad. Had it running in personals for 4 days now.
Thanks. All those saw a man fall down the stairway in the auditorium. Tuesday, please call Michigan 5211-75. No results, sir?
No. All the possible doctors in town have been checked out, too.
How about the local medical magazines?
Got an ad in there, Ralph. Nothing's happened.
Well, Well, one thing is sure, something's got to happen. Newspapers are scorching the kid and the department along with him. Victim without a trial makes good reading in the tabloids.
There's one thing I can't understand. If Clark's leveling and there was a doctor at the fights that might have looked at Stacy, then where's the doctor? We've had this thing noised all around town.
Well, give it a little more time. He might turn up. I kind of like the Stacy angle.
What do you mean?
Well, suppose we get him in here. Think we could break him down under questioning?
No, I doubt that. We can't even get close to him. That wife of his and that lawyer, they're with him all the time. He's afraid to talk to us.
Maybe if we pass the word to his wife he'd been gambling, how far could we go on that?
Well, she might believe us, she might not. You've seen what she's like.
Yeah. I got an idea he sold her on his story, and she's tagging along to get the $128 back.
It gives me an idea, Joe. One thing we might have missed.
Yeah, what's that?
We found out that Stacy did a little partying before he went to the fights at the auditorium that night, didn't we?
Yeah, go ahead.
We checked out a couple of the bars he was drinking at, but we figure he must have parted away at least $50 out of that $128.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't spend that much at the bars.
Oh, well, sure. He probably hit a few other places, too.
That's what I mean. There's still a lot of money to drink up alone.
You figure a woman?
Maybe.
You got any reason to think Stacy plays around?
Just one.
Yeah?
His wife.
Monday, 1 p.m. Ben and I started to canvass of bars and small nightclubs in the general area around the Olympic Auditorium. We started with those where Stacy was a regular customer. We failed to turn up any leads. Either the bartenders refused to tell us or they had no knowledge of Stacy's running around with other women. We kept at it. Another day passed. 2 days. Nothing. One of the newspapers started a campaign against the brutality of police officers. On Thursday, we got a tip from a bartender at a place out on Washington Street, the Brown Cow. He told us that he thought he saw a man answering Stacy's description in his bar a few nights before with a flashy blonde in her late 20s. He said he didn't know Stacy too well, but he knew the girl, and he knew the hotel where she stayed. Her name was Sandra Gay, an acrobatic specialty dancer at a cheap nightclub. We checked out her hotel, but she wasn't in. We left word for her to get in touch with us, and then we picked up a hamburger and some potato salad for lunch and checked back in at the office.
How you doing, Coleman?
Not as good as you two.
How do you mean?
Can't you smell a perfume? It's off a blonde named Sandra Gay. She's waiting in the next room. Won't talk to anybody but you.
Thanks. Come on, Ben. Didn't waste much time, did she?
Perfume. Sure strong.
Your name, Sandra Gay?
Yeah, that's right. You the fellas been looking for me?
Drop by your hotel. We'd like to ask you a few questions.
Sure, it's all right.
This is my partner, Sergeant Romero. My name's Friday.
How you doing?
Oh, Romero. Kind of cute for a cop. What can I help you with?
Do you know anybody by the name of Gerald Stacy, Miss Gay?
Gerald, yeah, I hate that name.
Do you know any man who calls himself that?
No, I think that's a terrible name for a man, Gerald.
The man we have in mind is pretty short, stocky build, dark hair, and he wears steel-rimmed glasses.
Yeah, where's he hang out?
Place out in Washington, the Brown Cow. Supposed to have been seen with you. Gerald Stacy.
Oh, yeah, I think I know who you mean. Furniture business, and runs a place near the Brown Cow.
That's right. You know him?
Oh, Pop, sure I know him. We get together once in a while. He's a kick.
Pretty big spender?
Yeah, when he's got it, yeah. Last time we went out, he was fine. He can kick it around when he wants to. Oh, Pops.
When's the last time you were out with him, Miss Gay?
Maybe a week, 2 weeks ago. It was a Tuesday night, I think. Yeah.
Tuesday the 8th? Is that about right?
Yeah, it must have been it. Why, what's it all about?
Did you spend most of the evening with him?
No, I had to get back to the club, do my act. He went on to the fights over at Olympic.
I get it. Personnel, Friday.
Is this Sergeant Friday?
Yes, that's right.
This is Dr. Samuelson talking, Sergeant. I've been out of town. I just got back this morning. I saw the ad in the paper.
Yes, sir?
I was at the fights that night, Sergeant. What did you want to know?
Would you mind telling us, Doctor, did you see a man fall down one of the stairways to the lobby?
Certainly. I was the one who examined him.
5 p.m. Mr. and Mrs. Stacy were called to Lieutenant Drummond's office. Arrangements were made to have Officer Russell Clark brought over from his cell in county jail. At 5:15, Ben and I checked into the lieutenant's office. Stacy and his wife were already there.
Certainly proud of our police department, Chief. No whitewashing this time. You gave that fella exactly what he had coming.
Thanks.
You sure you didn't make a mistake?
I'm sure, Chief. That's the right man. You got him.
Jerry, don't make mistakes on things like this, Inspector. How about our money, the $128? He tell you where he hid it?
No, he hasn't. We're bringing Officer Clark in from county jail. Figure we try to crack him.
That's right. Make him tell what he did with our money.
Joe, will you have Officer Clark brought in?
By the way.
All right.
There he is. Where's our money? What have you done with it?
Just a minute, please. Stacy, you sure Officer Clark here's the man who beat you up and robbed you?
Of course he is. Dragged me behind the auditorium and almost beat me to death. Broke my arm, took all my money.
$128. Where is it?
I haven't got your money.
Joe, bring the doctor in.
Right, sir. In here, Doc.
All right. Mr. Stacy, you're a liar. This officer didn't break your arm. I saw you fall down a flight of stairs at that auditorium and break your own arm. I examined it.
Jerry, who is this man?
What about it, Stacy?
He doesn't know what he's talking about. I never saw him before in my life.
No, but I've seen you, Stacy. You were drunk. I saw you fall down those stairs.
You're crazy.
Joe, send Miss Gay in.
All right.
All right, Miss Gay.
Sure strong perfume.
You recognize any of these people, Miss Gay?
Hello, Pops.
I don't know you.
Don't you remember the perfume? You give it to me.
Who is this woman?
Just a friend, honey.
All right, Stacy, now let's have it straight.
It was all a mistake. I don't want to make trouble for anybody. It wasn't this cop's fault. I don't want to make any trouble.
What about this woman?
It was all a mistake, believe me.
You took that money, Gerald. You spent it on her.
Now, wait a minute.
Causing all this trouble, squandering our money. After all I did for you, you're no good. This time I'm through.
All right, Clark, let's go.
Okay.
Well, that's it.
I don't know how to thank you, fellas.
And the doctor's the best friend you got.
Yeah? Yeah, I better call her wife. She'll want to know.
Friday, phone message for you here.
Oh, thank you. From your wife, Clark.
Yeah?
She found that doctor's card.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On September 2nd, trial was held in Municipal Court, Division 7, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to extra mild Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, extra mild Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the king-size cigarette that is extra mild.
Extra mild because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild, to give it a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Gerald Stacy was tried on charges of filing a false crime report. He was convicted under Section 5250 LAMC and served his term as prescribed by law. Officer Russell Clark was returned to duty with full back pay.
Ladies and gentlemen, in response to thousands of letters asking us to broadcast Dragnet at an earlier hour so that the entire family might hear it, we wish to announce that summer scheduling enables us to fulfill these requests. Beginning next Thursday, June 8th, Fatima Cigarettes will bring you Dragnet 1/2 hour earlier over most of these stations. Consult your local newspaper for exact time.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Hear your favorite Jack Birch tomorrow on NBC.